Hey everyone, it's that math magician, and on this video, I'd like to discuss problem number 16 from checkpoint 5b. Now checkpoint 5b is all about finding the equation of, and it depends, you're either given some points, you could be given a table, or in this case, you could be given a graph. And we want to see, can we find the equation of this line? Now, hopefully we remember what an equation of a line looks like. We spent all of first semester working with this equation. So hopefully it's starting to ring a bell in your brain that we want to use y equals mx plus b. And just as a quick refresher, remember that m was our slope, or sometimes we talked about it as our growth rate, and that b is our y-intercept, or sometimes we talked about it as our starting point. So when we're coming up with an equation for a line or a table or 2 points, we really just need to figure out what our slope and what our y-intercept is. Okay, what is our growth rate? What is our starting point? So let's go ahead and look at this graph on number 16. First things first is we want to find out what the y-intercept is. Well, here is my y-axis. Remember, y-axis is the vertical line. I just need to see where this line crosses the y-axis, where the y-intercept is. And as I follow this line, I see that it crosses the y-axis right here at this point of 0, 50. So that tells me that the y-intercept here is 50. So going back to the equation that we want to create, I know I have y equals, we're going to have m for our slope. We don't know that just yet, but I have x plus my y-intercept. Well, my y-intercept now we know is plus 50. Okay, so we got one piece of the puzzle down. Last thing we have to do is just figure out what our slope or our growth rate is. Now, the best way that I do this is that I look and I start at my y-intercept. Now I want to follow this line, the line of our graph. I want to follow it until I see it crossing another point right on the point. Right, as I'm going across this, I see that it's not crossing at a certain point just yet, not until it gets to right here. That is where it crosses a point. And what I want to do now is I want to create my slope triangle. Okay, we spent lots and lots of time on doing slope triangles in semester 1. Remember, all slope is a fraction, and that fraction is delta y over delta x. I need to figure out what my delta y is and what my delta x is. My change in y, my change in x. Well, it looks like on my y-axis, every unit block here seems to be going by 25, right? Here's where 0 is. I go up 1, I'm at 25, 50, 75, 100, 125, 150. So every block represents 25. And it's also the same in our x direction. 25, 50, 75, 100. So when I'm looking here at my delta y of my slope triangle, I see that it goes up 3 units. Well, each unit represents 25. So this goes up 25, 50, 75. I know that my delta y here is 75. Let's figure out what our delta x is. It goes across, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units. And if each unit is 25, then that means that it goes across 25, 50, 75, 100, 125. So I know that my delta x is 125. So when I go back to my equation, right, the last piece that we're missing here is the slope. The slope is just delta y over delta x. Well, my delta y is 75 over my delta x, which is 125. There is my equation for this graph. Okay, now there is one more step we want to do. Our slope here is not fully reduced, and we always want to reduce when possible. Okay, we always want to reduce when possible. So we want to think about what number goes into both 75 and 125. I believe that 25 goes into both of these, And we can look straight from our slope triangle that 25 goes into 75 3 times. And 25 goes into 125 5 times. So I can rewrite this slope as 3/5 x plus 50. That is our final simplified equation for this line. Okay, I hope this helped you simplify and clarify how we can look at a graph and determine the equation by finding out what our y-intercept is and by finding out what our slope is. All right, guys, I'll see you next time.